there's a very strong public defence of the chequebook journalism in this case. If it was only £75,000, everything has been exposed. I mean, I have no problem with even the great thalidomide scandal exposed by the Sunday Times. Money changed hands. And if you consider that, well, the Telegraph paid to whoever provided these discs was about what the tabloids pay for the indiscretions of the wife of a disgraced politician. I mean, no, I have no problem with the Telegraph. I think the Telegraph has done brilliantly.
Now, you also in the book devote a chapter to the political class. How has the mindset of the political class had to change in the aftermath of the scandal, or how must it change in the future?
I think the political class is shattered. This happened this wasn't done to them, it was done by them. And I think what has happened in the last 20 years is a great gulf has arisen and widened between the government and the government, between the politicians and the people. And we've seen this, the extent that these MPs are taking money that is not theirs. If this had happened in a private company or public corporation, the guys would have been out of the door, handed the coats, off you go, and the papers probably passed to the police. So it was very slow to dawn on these people what was happening to them. But I think initially they said we acted within the rules. Well, who made the rules? They did. Who policed the rules? They did. Standards and Privileges Committee. I think they've finally got it. It's sackcloth and ashes time.
How do you think the Kelly Committee went about investigating?
I think the Kelly Committee, we'll find in October, I think the Kelly Committee has been extremely fair. This Committee on Standards in Public Life is absolutely vital, and under the Labour government, especially Tony Blair, it was sidelined. Blair wasn't interested, he didn't want to know. This was a government that was elected on an issue of trust. This is after Hamilton and all that stuff, and I was involved in that. And they didn't seem to care. They sidelined it, it was left without a chairman for about 8 months. I've every confidence in Sir Christopher. I've seen him in action. He's doing a very good job.
Now, obviously, we've seen these expenses sheets on television and in the media blanked out. How do you think blanking out the expense information to the public, obviously we want transparency, and is this a fundamental prerequisite for a new and trustworthy democracy, not to have these things blanked out?
The blanking out, what they call the redaction, was an absolute public relations disaster. What it said loud and clear is we're guilty as hell, but we're not going to let you know. And it followed on all these attempts to prevent the information getting in the public domain. Well, it is in the public domain. And they have to, after the Kelly Committee has reported, I expect a complete change of attitude. Well, we got a new speaker. But it's the House of Commons leadership let this happen. They were warned in 2002 by Dr. Tony Wright, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, that the next scandal was going to be MPs' expenses and they'd better deal with it now. And he claims no special prescience, but he said they waited and waited and waited until the sky fell in, and then it was too late.
Now, in future party conferences with regards to the expenses scandal, what do you hope to see? And what do you hope the leaders are going to show? What sort of leadership on this issue? And how could the parties incorporate your blueprint into their own political parties?
I think the parties are slowly getting it. I think the Lib Dems and the Tories have got it. I think the SNP was there a long time ago and blind. The problem is with Labour. This happened on their watch. They didn't understand the gravity of it. If you actually look at the individual cases, I think you'll see that in many of the Conservative cases, not all, they tend towards the comical, and some of the Labour ones tend towards the criminal. The phantom mortgages are all Labour. They haven't got it yet, but they're going to have to. And if they don't, they're not just going to be defeated, they're going to be wiped out.
And has your own trust in politics and politicians been permanently damaged by this? And how do you hope the book will have a positive impact on British politics?
The book ends up in a fairly confident frame of mind. Either you laugh or you cry. We can't go on as we have been. New rules are going to be in place. A new independent parliamentary standards authority is going to be in place. Half the present MPs are going to be gone at the next election. But it's going to take a long time. It's going to take, I think, at least 3 years before they begin to recover public confidence. They know. They're getting it on the doorstep all the time. Many MPs throughout the summer have hardly dared appear in their own constituency. There was one who was claimed for mole trap, and he went to charity lunch sometime in June, and on the menu he found mole pie. He didn't get the joke and he walked out. Well, they got to get it.
You also say in the book, and I've not read all of it, but I've had a chance to have a quick look through, that the house had something of a Wild West reputation. It had too many villains and too few sheriffs, and that the laws turned out not to apply to the regulars in the saloon bar. Do you think the sheriffs have now established law and order in the house, or are things pretty much the same as they were before?
I think it's touch and go. It depends on a number of things. It depends on the Kelly Committee. If the Kelly Committee is not happy with the new regulatory procedure, and it's already called it transitional, it has to demand something stronger. It depends on the characters of the new commissioners of the authority. They're appointed by the commission. They can be fired by the commission. This was the Elizabeth Filkin problem. I think we're going to know when the very first serious case comes along of an MP who has broken the rules and is found to have done so by the new authority, and if he's then defended by the House of Commons and its members and its committees, then it's time to start all over again. In fact, this is work in progress. There's a lot in here about the military, and as the military say, we have to crack on and get the job done.
I think in the past, from my point of view, people have always accepted that people getting peerages and special favours and have donated, let's say, 50,000, £500,000 to a certain party's cause, that this has been accepted for a long time with the British public as, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Do you think that sort of thing has passed now?
I think it's certainly been challenged. I think the cash for peerages affair, in which in the end there were no charges brought, had the commendable effect that you can no longer buy yourself a peerage. I think we're into a new world here. But goodness, it's taken a long time, and the cash for peerages was part of it. The MP's expenses scandal was part of it. But I think we're getting to the further shore, and I think, you know, we can again, possibly in 3 or 4 years, we can start to see the reputation of the House of Commons resurgent.
Martin Bell, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the best with your new book, A Very British Revolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.